Now, during the recent demonstrations and the past demonstrations, we saw massive destruction of public and personal property, including looting and vandalism of shops and even banks. This has always happened whenever there are demonstrations, but it is an act of criminal elements who take advantage of peaceful demonstrations to steal. We condemn in the strongest terms possible the acts of those criminal elements and totally distance ourselves from their actions. The National Police Service is highly capable of reviewing CCTV surveillance and arresting all those criminal elements and bringing them to book. Now, Article 37 of our Constitution allows demonstrations as long as they are peaceful and the participants unarmed. It is the duty of police to disarm any criminals and use the necessary force to stop any destruction or looting during the demonstrations. In fact, this is the reason why the police are always informed of any demonstrations. Now, we were perturbed when we saw the leadership of Parliament debate a motion whose draft was very heavy on the matter of destruction of property, but completely silent on the loss of lives yesterday and in the past. The real intention of the motion was to hide behind parliamentary privilege and malign the names of leaders who are not part of the broad-based government and those who choose to commemorate the Kenyan Gen Zs who died in June last year at the precincts of the House of the People's Representatives, that is Parliament. Members made reckless comments concerning planning and funding of the demonstrations. They shouted themselves hoarse about attempts to overthrow the current regime and made very unfortunate threats against our leaders. On the matters raised yesterday, we want to remind them that the leaders who have been quoted to incite violence are all part of the Kenya Kwanza regime. A current sitting governor was quoted threatening he will stamp his authority on demonstrators who attempt to destroy property. Last week, the people who came out to demonstrate to ask for justice for Albert Ojwang, who was killed in a police cell, were beaten mercilessly by goons escorted by police in full glare of the media. A member of parliament from Rift Valley and another one from South Nyanza were in newspaper headlines threatening to deal with demonstrators. One actually said that he would transport thugs from his region to deal with the demonstrators on 25th of June. He insinuated that if the rungu-wielding goons had caused some pain, his thugs would be more lethal. The chairperson of the President's Council of Economic Advisors told demonstrators that before anyone left their home to go for peaceful demonstrations, they must say their final goodbyes to their friends and family. But interestingly, no single individual outside the broad-based government made any threats of any nature whatsoever, other than to stand in solidarity with the youth in their grief. It is interesting to note that none of these individuals have been summoned to write any statements in any police station and to explain why they're inciting violence. Much as we are appalled at the accusations and counter-accusations, we are curious as to why the Ruto regime decided to use the Communications Authority to switch off media stations, which was an affront on the Constitution of Kenya 2010 article is it 48 on the freedom of the media. Was it that this regime did not want what was it that this regime did not want Kenyan citizens to see? We believe that this is definitely connected with the atrocities visited upon our citizens and must be condemned. We shall not allow a clawback on the rights enshrined in our Constitution. Could the shutdown be interpreted as anarchy hour? Kenyans need answers. Now, in the comments made in Parliament, there were very many ethnic insensitive statements. This country is not ready for any ethnic profiling which could lead us down the path we traveled in 2007, 2008, when we had the post-election violence. As leaders, we are determined to ensure that the country remains united and we all act as one. The comments made insinuated that the victims of the demonstrations were from a specific ethnic group. This is very careless and extremely reckless and should be condemned by all Kenyans of goodwill. Fellow Kenyans, our country, our home is not at peace. We have been experiencing difficult times brought about by the various decisions made by our present government. The very many promises made during the last campaigns and the excessive taxes imposed since 2023 have been the trigger of anger by Kenyans. Kenyans were promised heaven on earth, but what we are literally seeing is that we are in hell. When it came to a head in 2024 and the finance bill was withdrawn, more promises were made by the president himself. The regime promised to reduce government wastage and expenditure. Since then, the number of advisors in the offices of CSs, in the office of the president, have gone up. And the government is still spending on luxury items like renovations in State House, which is costing billions, while the expenditure in more important items like education and health are not going up in similar proportions. They promised to stop Harambes in order to reduce theft of public funds by state officers. But this is still the order of the day. I'll give you an example. The current deputy president is going around the country donating 2 million in every constituency. Simple mathematics, 2 million per constituency will end up being 580 million when he goes around the whole country, which we are expecting them to do because we don't think they are doing this in a segmented manner. Now, just the other day, we asked him to declare his wealth because he was being vetted by the Parliamentary Appointments Committee. And we know that with what he gave us as his value, his wealth, he cannot afford that. So what we are asking is why is it still trying to portray opulence, which is one of the things that the youth say they do not want to see. Now we are asking that instead of the name calling and the finger pointing, this regime must deal with the problem at hand. Reduce the lies, make proper plans, and address the youth unemployment problem, which is actually the one at the heart and the center of all these demonstrations. If you do not listen to these highly educated and disenfranchised youth and continue using force to silence them, how will you address their concerns? It's not about the political class. It's not about Rigathi Gachagua. It's not about Kalonzo Musyoka. It's not about David Maraga. It's not about Fred Matiang'i. It's not about us as elected leaders. It's about the future of Kenya, which is vested heavily in our youth.
Mbunge wa Naivasha constituency, kama minority leader amesema, hivyo ndivyo tumeona ya kwamba kuna kujaribu kutoka kwa mlengo ama siasa ile inaendelea. Hii ni maneno mzito sana, mahali watoto wameuawa na sio sasa. Hii maandamano imekuwa, uharibifu unakuwa, a lot of it. Alafu viongozi wakiongea wanataka kupuuza, waanze kusema ni kabila hii ndio ilifanya duka za hawa ndio ilifanyika. Lakini tunajua tangu rais aingie kwa ofisi, ile vitu yote alikuwa ameahidi hawa watoto wetu. Na ujue mimi nilikuwa kwa hiyo kampeni yake. Alikuwa anawaahidi, anawaambia tunajua muko na certificate, muko na madiploma, muko na madegree na hamna kazi. Sasa alipoingia hiyo maneno akawachilia, akaanza misafara tena ya kupanda juu ya ngari, anaanza kuandanganya tena. Hawa watoto wengi wao wako na shida ya kulipa masomo. Wanajua wazazi wao wanateseka. Lakini ndege iko juu, wakipeleka pesa hapa, mamilioni hapa. Hii demonstration ilikuwa imetangazwa hapo awali. Watoto walisema tutatokea ili tuende kumon ama ukumbusho wa wale wetu waliuawa. Kwa hivyo ni kitu watu walijua. Kwa hivyo kuanza kusema ni hawa walipanga, ni hawa walileta pesa, ni hawa na hawa, tunajua hiyo ni uongo, wanataka kutupuuza kama Wakenya. Rais wetu miaka yote anasemanga wajinga waliisha Kenya hii. Lakini alipopata hiyo kiti ama alipopaa hapo ushukani, ameona kama Wakenya tena wamekuwa wakumbafu. It is not possible. Tumeona, we have been there. Niwaambia mimi nilikuwa kwa kampeni yake. hata ilifika mahali nikamuuliza, Your Excellency, kwa sababu utachaguliwa na vile umeahidi hawa watoto wako na imani kubwa sana na wewe, hebu niambie uko na mipango gani kwao? Mimi mwenyewe Jane Kihara, tukiketi hivyo nilimuuliza, kasema we Jane, we wacha, hao tutawapanga. Sasa ameendelea kupanga, lakini hawapangi. It is not possible. We cannot thrive on lies, especially when you are the head of state. Tulitajwa majina pale, ati wanataka kusema kuna wale walichochea, lakini hawa watoto waliamua na wakasema watatokea na wakatokea. Lakini ile walikubana naye ni vile mheshimiwa ametuambia hapa. Mheshimiwa alisema atalete wahuni kutoka kwao huko Rift Valley. Naye governor wa Nairobi akasema hata kubali wahuni waharibu. Lakini hao wahuni ndio waliharibu hii demonstration ama maandamano ambayo ilikuwa ya amani ya watoto ambaye hawaridhiki na uongozi wa nchi hii. Ndio tumesema wasitupumbaze na kujaribu to divert the problem at hand, because this is what they are trying to do. Kulete emotion kwa bunge, alafu muongei mambo ya wale watoto wamekufa, wale hawajapatikana. Na mnajua rais mwenyewe kuna wakati alisema wale wameshikwa mateka wamerudishwa kwa manyumba yao, na bado tunaona wazazi wakitokea kusema watoto wao hawajapatikana. Ni kama rais ameshindwa kuongoza nchi hii na anaongoza na uongo, ama kuna jama ambaye ipo ya tusifanye uchaguzi 2027. Wanajaribu tu kulete ghasia, ndio tuwe tunaongea mambo ya ghasia. Wakenya waliamua wanataka kuwa kitu kimoja, and this has been all over. When our youth wakituambia hawana kabila, hawana viongozi, hawataki kuongea mambo ya ukabila, lakini rais akishika mikrofoni saa yote anasema kuna watu wako na ukabila. Rais wetu, you are dealing with learned children who have gone to school, and you cannot afford to cheat them. No matter how much you try to divert, it is not going to work, because you are dealing with very determined youth of this country who are disenfranchised by lack of jobs, yet they have gone to school.
The debate in Parliament yesterday is highly regrettable, a debate that was selective to speak on damage, looting, and such, clearly indicating property is much more valuable than the lives of the people. What the debate was targeting is to show that some people want power through the back door. I want to say this hour, no one is interested to take power through the back door. This government will be removed constitutionally, and that is clear. They are counting their days, and they know the date of election. No one also is interested even to get that power to lead a nation where 90% of the population are not seeing the same page with you. The Gen Z have been announcing of 25th of June to commemorate their colleagues who died in their cause, and the government know why. They agitate for aid of abduction, for police brutality, for misplaced priority, where we give about 17 billion to the State House and Presidency, while education, healthcare is collapsing. So, in brief, Rais Ruto, no one is interested to take your power. Continue enjoying the next 2 years, but leave the youthful generation to demonstrate. For Murkomen, to say that when any visitor come to the police station should be shot is highly regrettable, unacceptable, and can only display your ignorance. Murkomen, I want to tell you, the police stations do not belong to you, neither the policemen and the policewomen. You are just a minister of interior who should even resign for misleading the president. And as leaders here in the current opposition, we really sympathize with our president. Because if the advice are coming from Akina Murkomen, from Junet, from Ishongwa, leaders who are blind, they cannot see the reality of the youths of this country. They are saying, please, do not kill us. What harm is that to the government? How can a youth overthrow a government with a bottle of water, a flag, and a phone? They are cowards, and they should not retaliate with guns. So if they say the Gen Zs are anarchists, we are the mothers and fathers of Gen Zs. For the age of the speaker, Honorable Moses Wetangula, the Gen Zs are your grandson and your granddaughters. So if Gen Zs are anarchists, then we are all anarchists.
When you are in the Senate as majority leader, we thought that you are a promising leader. We thought that you are a reasonable leader. But today you have suspended any reasoning. And we want to tell you that you cannot, if you have become ignorant and blind because of power and money, because you are the symbol of opulence in this country, then don't think that the Kenyans are stupid. And we know, I also want to take great exception of the statements made by Junet Mohammed to show that this was a Kikuyu affair. We want to tell them that the Kikuyu of this country have a right. They do not exist in this country at the pleasure of President Ruto or Murkomen or Junet Mohammed. They are there by right. And for them to trivialize demonstrations that were happening countrywide and portray it as a Kikuyu affair, it was unfortunate. And Junet Mohammed is another person that is very disappointing. And we want to tell Junet, by the way, and ODM, you know, if you take away somebody's husband, you do not have to keep, demonizing the first wife. If you want to blackmail the husband. For us, we have no use for this husband now. This, for us, is a worthless husband. You do not have to keep, demonizing Rigathi Gachagua about your new husband. You have taken him. We have no use for him. Please enjoy your illegitimate relationship with your husband. We have no use for that husband. And please let our people be. Let Kenyans be. Address the issues affecting the youth. The youth of this country are asking for jobs. The youth of this country are protesting against the killing of their colleagues. The youth of this country want to be sure that education will be available and accessible to all, regardless of the ability, the financial ability of your parents. These are the issues. Address them. Please give our youth the right to be. And we want to also remind President Ruto that the killings that have happened, the youths that have been killed, nobody was born before 2022 when you were elected as president. These people were living in this country. We want to remind you that the cabinet may serve at your pleasure. Your appointees may serve at your pleasure. But we want to tell you, President Ruto, we do not exist in this country in your at your pleasure. We are here by right, and we are not going to allow you to take away this right for us to live in this country. You just became president the other day. You have to let us continue living the way we are living. Thank you very much.
What we witnessed in Parliament yesterday was just a mere blame game. And I would say that it was a very strange claim by the majority leader to claim that the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, had planned to kill his parents on Wednesday, resulting from the demonstrations on Wednesday. I also wondered, and one would ask, is it Rigathi Gachagua who sent goons to come and overturn the flower pots in the city of Nairobi? Is it Rigathi Gachagua who sent goons in Githurai to come and break into Cooperative Bank, Githurai branch, looting it, Is it Gachagua who sent goons, as they claim, from Mount Kenya to come and break into Kasmat supermarket in Githurai? Is it Rigathi Gachagua who sent goons from Mount Kenya, as they claim, also to break into another branch of Kasmat supermarket, right at the roundabout of Githurai roundabout, at Githurai roundabout? They took 5 hours. Goons took 5 hours to break into that supermarket on a broad daylight. They had luxury of time. And I believe, because the deployment of security was done selectively, I believe police officers were told to keep off in Githurai so that the goons can have the luxury of time to root and to break into those supermarkets. Was Rigathi Gachagua all over the whole country, where the demonstrations took place? If it is Rigathi Gachagua who had directed this, then he must be very strong if he has this capacity. He must be very influential. And he even deserves to become the president of this country, if that is the type of influence he has. Thank you.
I want to tell Junet Mohammed, first and foremost, he cannot mention my name on the floor of the House without a substantive motion. And if he has one and he has the evidence, let him do a substantive motion, and I will come to Parliament and respond. I also want to say that if his information is as defective as I heard, and if he was, all the allegations against me, which I know, and the people of Makueni know, that I don't pay goons to do anything, or I don't pay people to go to Mandamano. Mandamano is a voluntary thing. And I believe all the Mandamano, which was in 27 counties and more, if they were funded, then it would be billions of shillings. And I doubt whether anybody in opposition is likely to use that strategy. People went to demonstrate on their own, peaceful demonstrations, and the police disrupted them. In the counties where the police did not disrupt, like Meru or Kitui, and worked with the people, there were no damages. Damages come when police, instead of following the law, first do a proclamation. If the peaceful demonstrations turn chaotic, the law requires that you stop the meeting, announce it loud and clear, and give people enough time to clear. And therefore, if the only way to deal with Mandamano is to begin with, tear gas or gunshots, then the police is really has misled itself, and they're the ones who have caused all the destruction you have seen. I had information from Matu that Kenyans just bypassed the police station, and an unprovoked officer decided to shoot, and that's when hell broke loose. In Mali, where 3 people were killed, some officers who were in plain clothes, suspected to be of DCI and were with a Subaru, are the one who came out of the Subaru and fired, carelessly, and killed young people even who are not in the demonstration. And that's when trouble began. And therefore, we can blame the destruction into the mismanagement and personal decisions by individual police officers. And probably, if Kenyans are allowed to demonstrate peacefully, I am very sure there will be no destruction of any magnitude. So this blame game of blaming so and so is so misplaced. If it is to go by my case, I did not spend a single coin on any demonstrations, whether in Nairobi or in Makueni, and I do not influence people, by money to do things. People do things because they believe in a cause and believe in something. So if the information is as defective as the information about myself, then the government has totally misled Junet Mohammed. The government has, the intelligence and where they get information has totally misled William Ruto and his government. And therefore, that misinformation is a clear indication that they are not in touch with the ground. They have completely isolated themselves from the people. They need to go back to the people and hear why people are complaining. People are very annoyed with the 60 deaths, of which the only inquest we have of Rex Masai is an effort to cover up, the killer of Rex Masai, who is known very well by Kenyans. And therefore, we are also aware in that Rex Masai case, witnesses have been frustrated. And it is the only case going on. What about the other 60 or so? What about the disappearances? In Makueni, we have 2 people who have disappeared, and we have 2 deaths from the Mlolongo 4 who were found, brutally murdered, and the registration at the city mortuary had been concealed for 30 good days till we went to court, and their bodies were found. So those parents have not gotten any reparation so far. There is no plan or strategy of compensating those who have been hurt, or even dealing with them in one way or another by the government, meaning that the government clearly instructed their abduction and clearly instructed their killing, and that's why they do not want to compensate at all. No one wants to bring any coup into this Kenya. There is no one with that capacity. There is no one with that authority. The Constitution of Kenya cannot be suspended. The Constitution of Kenya talks about removal of a president after 5 years through an election. The only other removal available is by resignation or impeachment by the House. The moment that is not applicable, what Kenyans can do, and that's what they are doing, is to prepare. Let the young people register as Kenyans. Let them have an ID. Let them also register as voters when it comes. Let them vote in 2027, and at the same time protect the vote so that it cannot be stolen. It is the only hope President Ruto and his people have to come back to power. Whoever say he will not hand over power to the opposition. We have heard the bravado and the hard talk from the leaders of majority of the 2 houses, from the interior CS Murkomen, giving an order of shoot to kill. People go to police station to seek protection. When you say now people don't go to police station, anybody going there should be shot dead, then I think that is very misled, and this is why Kenyans have a problem, and that's why Kenyans told Murkomen on his face, they are one term. And the Kenyans must really organize themselves this time. Last time, 8 million Kenyans did not vote. We want all registered Kenyans to come out in large numbers and vote this government out.